call to order here. All right, call the meeting order at. You got it? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, do we want to add you as a second point, or do you think we would just do that other petitions from the video?
How about we'll add you after minutes? Okay, so I would, what else do you need to amend?
Okay. Because we say pocket park needs to be added.
Okay.
And we'll have a conversation about that.
Okay.
And let's just call it subcommittee formation, if we can have a, not on the pocket park, just as a second, as another point. Because there's some things that are not related
well,
to.
I'll amend it so that following two, we'll just have those three.
Okay, so
First.
what's the first one?
Tom's going to do a presentation,
Okay.
discussion of pocket park, and then formation of subcommittees, and also we probably need to, since Mike resigned, we need to appoint a new secretary.
Oh, okay.
So,
We better add that.
and
Just
actually,
do it all after the changes.
yeah, and actually appointment of secretary probably should come first, I would think. So, okay, so then I move to
Can I just dovetail?
Oh, no, mine is full, thanks. Oh. Yeah, I just forgot it in the car, sorry.
Can I dovetail into the sod grant application? I have some old business.
Yeah, I think that works fine. Application.
All right, then I move to amend the agenda to include after minutes, the appointment of a secretary to the DDA, presentation by Tom, a discussion of the pocket park, and the formation of subcommittees.
A second for that?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All righty. Let's see, petitions from the public?
Yes, ma'am. Happy New Year, everybody. 2018. Time to get our goals together for this year. You know, we can have a really productive year if we take advantage of the things that we have in Calumet. One of them being community involvement. You know, Main Street has proven itself as a really good marketing tool. If you look at their follows and shares and their likes on Facebook, and you go to the webpage, you see a lot of good information. And I think the DDA should be utilizing Main Street a little bit more. We need more on the street department. As opposed to paying money for a newspaper ad, we should be utilizing Main Street to market ourselves, to look for street department as help. Also, our concession stand, we're going to be considering leasing that out. That would be awesome if Main Street got involved with that and put something on their website for that as well. Pasty Fest, last year we had trouble with the liquor license. There were several bar owners that would have loved to have been the sponsor of that. I suggest that we get more than one involved. We don't need just one vendor. We can include the whole village. Another thing that I found out, Calumet Electronics has been doing a great deal of expanding and is going to be doing even more expansion. They're moving people to Houghton. We don't need to lose those jobs. We've got over 100,000 square feet of space somewhere downtown, and if we work with KETA and other organizations, we could keep some of those Calumet Electronics jobs up here. Also, our police department. Our police department, one-man crew. One man can't do it all. One man can't even find half of his time just to patrol the streets. A lot of you in this very room have expressed concern about the lack of coverage. You know, we could improve that coverage by hiring another guy and cramming him into this little office, or we could look at another property for a police station. I found that property. It's right there, the Road Furniture Building. It's a historic building, and because of the historic nature of the building, you combine that with law enforcement grants, interest from the county, the state, Even the park, 15 grand right off the top, just from the National Park Advisory Commission. We can make that building happen. It was designed in the 80s to accept vehicles. It has a garage in the back, parking in the back, and 6,000 square feet downstairs that could not only be used for a police department, but for offices or a small business incubator, like what you see up at the Doodle with Finlandia. There's a lot of opportunities involved, and you know, before you go out and you hire consultants to explore these ideas or to create plans for the DDA, I think you should look to yourselves, because there's a lot of people in here that are capable of writing these plans. You know, ordinances, master plans, they're not that complicated. You don't have to have a PhD. You can write these things fairly easily and fairly quickly if you collaborate. There's a lot of other things that I have on this list, and I know I'm probably running short on time, but just this sculpture park over here was a really good thing. Now it's in the hands of Buccos, and I really believe he'll be a good custodian of that park. But if you take that same design and you apply it to a parking area, you could increase the aesthetics of downtown exponentially. I heard rumor that Jim Flood is going to do a parking lot over there. If that's the case, well, then work with him. Do something nice. Make it a park-like setting so people can enjoy it. We really need parking downtown. We need to take it off of this street and get it on this end of the town where our businesses are hurting the most. The first couple of blocks, they're holding their own. Down here, we can't keep anybody. You know, the offshore fish and chips, I'd love to see them be here a year and a half from now. But we have to keep traffic down that way. And parking in this end of town would help. And then finally, marijuana ordinance, something that needs to get done. It's been going on, you know, some of you guys act like it was the first you heard of it last year, but it was going on last year. While it was reported that 95% of communities didn't opt in, 95% of the communities did not have an operating medical marijuana dispensary at that time. You know, 95% of the communities that did opted in. You know, so what's been reported is exactly the opposite of what happened. That was a business that's no longer open right now, and I hope that she'll be reopening in some fashion, but we can't afford to lose more business. We should be attracting more business. We need to get this done, and you on the DDA can lobby your trustees to get this done. Don't let personal biases and personal feelings affect the business community. You know, there's a lot of people in the business community that would like to get involved if you guys would just go out there and talk to them. It doesn't take that much time. And if you don't have the time to do these kind of things, then maybe just slide over and let somebody on the board that will. Thank you.
Alrighty, let's move to, who's our secretary? Oh, minutes, we need to approve our minutes. Sorry. We're to the secretary.
Birthday grant that for the December 5th that Mike wasn't present because of that thing, so the vote on the agenda should be 7, so that's the vote.
Okay. 7 all. We had it for adjournment, correct, but not for.
So who wasn't here?
Mike.
So we should probably cross off
Yeah,
that.
he should be,
Yeah.
he should be listed as absent then.
That we tried to, I did not catch that when I read through these.
Well, then the adjournment isn't right either.
Yeah.
What's that?
The adjournment, we have it,
Oh,
this is the special meeting on the 5th.
yeah.
But I thought adjournment, I thought we said it was supposed to be 7 there on that.
Yeah, but Mike wasn't
Right,
there.
and Mike couldn't make the motion.
Oh. So it should actually be,
Yeah, he's not
okay.
there yet, maybe.
No, so it should be
Anyway,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shouldn't it be 7? Is it
Yeah.
not 7?
Right.
Right, but the problem is down here, we've got
I'm sure he
Mike
wasn't
who's
here 'cause he
adjourning.
didn't.
Oh, I see.
No, why did he want to do it if he wasn't there? That seems odd.
Sorry?
Well, he did the minutes and it
He would,
seems
he would,
like odd.
he would, no, he would sign the minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't do
Right.
it.
He
No,
does not,
he's
do
not.
it. The secretary doesn't do them.
Yeah, so,
We don't know actually who moved
so
it
did
to
anybody
adjourn.
remember who made the motion to adjourn?
No.
You know, I usually like to do that because it's nice to be done.
Keith?
And I kind of thought I did that.
Yeah, then it's gotta be carried 6-0, not 7, is it?
Well, I think 7 is correct. Members
Yeah,
present. Leah, Dave, Rick, Lori, Tom, Verge, Pete, that's 7.
right.
5, 6,
Yes.
yeah, that is.
So it's 7.
Okay, so change the adjourn moved by Keith.
It was either that or I seconded it, and Rick didn't do that. I'm not positive. You remember Rick?
All right. Well, then I will move to accept the December 5th minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
Lori?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's look at the 12th. December 12th.
All right, then I will move to accept the December 12th minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
There's no amendments on the floor.
Sorry, no amendments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Pete?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Now we can move on to election of a secretary or appointment of a secretary. I'd like to take that position. I don't think, as secretary, we typically have Joe takes our notes. And any other duties that you think of Joe that the secretary really has to sign the
Sign the
notes.
notes and the sign.
You don't have to take them. Pete will be our secretary.
Right, then I move that we appoint Pete Hahn as secretary of the DDA.
Is there a second for that motion?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, let's have our presentation from the student.
Okay, well, as a trained ag economist, I look at Calumet as and from one perspective, urban farming community. We have a lot, we have had for a long time, we do have a lot of growers, and I would say if you bunched them all together, we probably have over 1 acre, maybe 2 acres of farming going on here. And the economy that they do have a positive side, for sure. And I know a lot of them, they have gained a lot of skills, like some of them are just, if I were back on some of the places I used to manage, I'd hire some of them that I've met in a snap, as far as all the botany, all the technical stuff that they know. But on another side of the coin, I see the legalization that's coming up is going to probably make prices so low that with our electrical costs up here, that a lot of them won't be able to survive. There was excuse me, I'm not quite awake yet. I got flown out to California about 2 months ago. Some investors wanted to build a large greenhouse out that's for Canada. And by the time I got there, they'd already seen that there were so many of these huge greenhouse complexes going in, is that they were estimating that was somewhere between 5 times and 8 times more production than demand. Because, probably over half of us have probably smoked a joint sometime in their life. But we don't do it every day, and we don't go down and buy a bottle of vodka every day for just, you know. So anyway, the point is, oh, there's another point on medical. While I was there, I sell worm castings through, I have an associate that is one of the nation's top producers of worm casting tea. He was we've been working out in Arizona. It's been a tomato growing place, a $4 billion installation. And we were there when they were growing tomatoes with our stuff, and now a medical cannabis company is coming in. They bought the place. They're taking all these compounds, they're going to have they're going to invest $11 billion more into a structure there, which they're going to be like big pharma, and so there's going to be a lot of competition with local places, like the Zen store. But there's a lot of good products coming out of there for health. Anyway, as far as the community, I kind of like to see a little bit of, in the spirit of cooperation. I'd like to see some of the people who are involved in that. It looks like it could change really rapidly. It looks like prices on cannabis would drop down. A lot of these people who are growers, they're just normal. Some of them are working at Calumet Electronics. There's others have their own doing construction. They just have a little growing thing in their house. They don't spend 24 hours a day tending the plant. And they have a lot of skills. And so that's where I come around to this idea of the construction school, whether it's here, like I have in this presentation on the Agnes building, or anywhere in the community. These people are pretty sharp, and they're capable of learning a lot of different skills. And if what I think is going to happen, and the price drops out, they'll have more time and to go out and get these construction jobs, which are in high demand all over the country. So anyway, here's the presentation thing I made on my video. I think. Come on.
Tom, do you know where the closest school of this sort is located currently?
No, I think it's downstate.
Okay.
They have some in Wisconsin though.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wondered about Escanaba, what's going on? I thought
Well,
they
the
might
Intermediate School District though they just passed to work on
One
that.
trade.
So I think they're working with Waukegan Community College on that also. So there are some things I know.
So this is schooling in this.
I
So,
don't understand how they're connected.
and this is where some of the local growers, if we had a petition, want to make this is in the spirit of cooperating between everybody in town. If some of the growers want to push this thing so that we got some really good training, and basically not for free, but pretty close to free. I can see this thing, I could see everybody's skill level going up and a lot of more money being generated.
Sure.
So, okay, I guess it's going here, let me.
We're not turning that out.
Huh?
You can turn that on, it's okay.
Okay.
We can hear it okay.
Looking at something there. Have you, talked to people that do that?
Well, America, Michigan's Upper Peninsula has a lot of job openings. The only catch is that they require job skills and work ethic. We have an abundance of adolescents and young adults lacking in either the skills or the work ethic required to maintain a higher paying job.
Some places are hiring, some aren't. Most of the time, it's pretty slow and it's tough up here.
Providing a model that teaches both skills and work ethic is boot camp. I know that Army drill sergeants jolted me out of my adolescence when I was 17 in the U.S. Army.
I never taught you that. Not in 100 years. Pick the block up, have to pick up one time, set it down, throw it head joints, pick up the second time, put it in the wall. I want you going right through the wall. Speed and efficiency. My name's Dan Hillbarrow, and I'm the masonry instructor at the Williams and Trade School. The materials we work with in the masonry industry are concrete block, brick, stone, stucco, ceramic tile, and poured concrete. Like the floor you're standing on is poured concrete. The mortar we use in the masonry shop is practice mortar. It's sand and lime with no Portland cement. We even sift the lumps out of the mortar and reuse the mortar. The requirements for each student are that they purchase a set of bricklaying tools, safety equipment, work uniform, and masonry textbook. The students build block and brick projects listed on the progress chart in front of the shop. And each student gets a picture of every successful project that they build. Any project that's graded less than 85% must be taken down and rebuilt. We stress quality first, speed or quantity second. With the pictures, the students can develop a portfolio to present in job interviews or to show potential customers. They have this technical masonry education in the theory room, as well as the practical masonry skills on shop projects and through actual on-the-job experience. When I mention actual on-the-job experience, you have to understand we do all this on
hands-on skill.
Get a Grammy on that one, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Leah and I were trying to make up a petition that could be passed around, and it'd be great if everybody in the community would take and pass it around and try to show at least there's a lot of support for this. And then they could hand it over to the powers, the political pool, to pull it together.
It sounds like, I'm sorry, I had to step out, but, it sounds like the Copper Country ISD does have interest in doing something like this, so I think what might be, and I don't think that we can force them to go in a certain specific building or another, but I think we could certainly let them know that, hey, we really want you to be here in Calumet, and maybe we have a few ideas about how we let them know that, and what we can do to lobby for Calumet to be the location, you know, of that school. Because I have no idea what their budget is in terms of being able to rehab a building to go into, or what their thoughts are, but you know, what is it that we can do as a community that would let them know that, hey, we really want you, we want you to be here, as opposed to Houghton. We don't want it in Houghton, we want it in Calumet, you know? Any ideas on that?
I have a couple of questions. Is that building, is it like structurally safe for young people to be in?
Ambulance, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they
Yeah,
really have a concern about that?
It has, we hired that one group, what did they say, it was 48,000 or something? To stabilize, to bring it up to, there's some rotten things right in the middle, but just like my building was rotten in one area. But it can be jacked up, they can put new beams in,
And I think that kind of thing needs to be left to this, you know, Copper Country ISD, and I'm sure before they put kids in there, they're probably gonna address that
well,
situation.
I don't know about, I'm not talking about kids, I'm not.
Adults as well.
I'm talking about the adults,
Young adults.
working with somebody who's guiding them and doing it.
Right.
And that's where you're getting,
I guess I look at
I'd
that
say
point
that
as,
that $48,000, probably 80% of it's labor,
oh,
you know.
it's not a
And
lot.
so you would need somebody who was, you know, running the thing that was
I
qualified.
mean, I guess I would leave, whatever that is, I would leave that up to whoever wants to run the school. You know, that, I look at that as kind of not our problem, anyway, but I see what you're saying. Nate did have a couple comments.
This can happen. This can happen. We can get money for these buildings in town if we spend a little more time lobbying for it. School board meetings, you know, if one person from the DDA put together a package just to get the conversation started, the school has access to grants that we can't even touch. You know, something like what he's talking about, no matter what building you put it in, that's also eligible for help from the Calumet National Historic Park. It's also eligible for grants from the Park Advisory Commission. If we go to board meetings for Finlandia, for Tech, you know, we hit some of these colleges, we can get funding for some of this thing. And something like this has been needed in Calumet for a long time. There is a great deal, there's a great number of people that could get into construction other than just a low-level laborer, no skill set. You know, when we start training these people and start doing some of our own work up here instead of bringing in companies from Minnesota and contractors from Wisconsin, we're keeping our money here. This can be done, but you guys it can't just be talked about in a meeting. We've got to go to other meetings. You know, somebody's got to be selected to go.
Bert, what was your?
Well, I don't know if you
Do you
guys
have a
watched
question?
TV6 last night, but they had a big story on this exact same thing, and it was started by this Stu Bradley, who's on the city commission in 2010 in Marquette. And it was started in 2010 with just a couple of local businesses. I don't know if you guys saw this, but you could probably bring it up on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have 28 businesses involved in this project, and it's trades, it's plumbing, it's welding, it's everything, but they've got individual businesses involved with this.
Like,
And it's high school kids, it's not.
Yeah.
See, I think that's the thing is we do, I think there is definitely a need in our area for not just high school kids to get training. It has to be, you know, adult people.
The way I see it is,
I'm just a reporter, I'm not supposed to comment on this, but the Adams Township School District is doing exactly what you are proposing. And the superintendent, I did quite an extensive story on this. And he said he did not want that school's program to be a CTE program because that meant certified training education, which means you had to be certified in this. But what the object of his shops were, and he offers lumber milling, stone cutting, construction, automech, quite an array, was just to expose the students to these options. And then if they wanted to do it, they could enroll in CTE, or after school, they could enroll in a trade school and continue. So whether you affiliate with the ISD's CTE program or continue like what Adams Township is something you might want to discuss too.
yeah, well, the way I see it is that the building's there, and there's no reason why a school system couldn't use it for a certain number of hours. Let's say somebody who just wants to teach. I've got a lot of people excited about teaching things, the old people that have these skills like electronics or electrical, a lot of that. Well, and there's a lot of people that want to do it yourselfers would come.
So Tom, is that something that you'd be willing to go talk to the school district about, like make an appointment with George Takero and talk to him about that? About the possibility of bringing it here? Because I mean, I think really what we need to do is have someone from our community needs to go represent us and talk to somebody at the, you know, at the school. No, at Calumet. At the ISD and Agri.
When I've spoken to the school about these topics, they have their own system and their own ways and their own grants and their certification and their specific goals. I think what Tom might be talking about here, or at least what occurs in my mind, is that look at the amount of people we have here that just walk up and down the street with no skills, no employment possibilities. Even to learn from anyone that wants to teach the basics of roofing, you know, with a little setup like Tom showed, you're hireable to a contractor.
Right. I mean, I totally get the point of what we're talking about.
Without anything super official.
How do we move forward? Because we do not have, as the DDA, we do not have the funding, experience, skills to run this show. So who are we going to find to do that? What is the next step? Who do we talk to?
I'm not good at, I don't think I'm good at promoting things, but if you wanted me to go speak, I can speak and give the presentation.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe that was that
Yeah,
something
be
you
willing to.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
the ace in the hole that I used years ago when I worked for a nonprofit was my relationship with Paul Fasano. And I would call him up and he would handle all sorts of situations. You know, I never hear anyone asking Scott Diana what funds are available. Here we have a local man who's a politician, and I couldn't believe the things that what Kasanovic would straighten out or answer questions, and he would put.
You know, another thing that might be good to do would be if someone would be willing to contact some local contractors and ask them, do they need employees, or what kind of employees do they need? Are they looking for workers?
Ryuta had an ad the other day again.
Okay, so that might be something where if we can poll 10 or 15 contractors and find out what those needs are in the area.
And Tom, okay, so you could envision two schools, one sponsored by an intermediate school district for people who are 18 or under, and then do you kind of see it then, kind of how the arts center does it, that you would have people with particular skills?
Also a place where, like, RC Mechanical could bring their group down, and they could set up their own deal, and they could teach their own people. That there's all kinds of options to improve.
And what kind of certifications do people, I mean, for example,
You know,
how does someone coming out of that program say?
Of the kids I grew up with, a whole lot of them that became billionaires never got any certification, they just had some skills and they ran with them. Mm-hmm. And they became very, wealthy in plumbing companies, and another guy was came out with $1 million from, he didn't have any certification, no degree, but he worked for a high-tech place on inventing one of the stuff for the fiber optics.
But to be employed by a contractor, I assume you have to meet certain
No,
standards.
I've been a contractor. I've been a general contractor, and we never look at resumes.
Oh, okay.
So
You look at, can you do this? And the good thing about that school, that model they had, was that they just take a picture on your own smartphone, and that's your resume. You go, yep, this is me. I'm doing this and this and this.
So is this Williamson? Is this Williamson kind of the model that you're looking
That's
at,
what I
or
like.
is it too academic?
I like, because they're a little bit like a boot camp where timeliness, you come to work on time, and if you don't, you're out, sort of thing. And that's the kind of work ethic that needs to be. There's still a lot of people that I've worked with around here. I came here and I had to go over to people's house at 10 o'clock and get them out of bed.
All right, guys, I hate to cut this off, but it is 8:45.
Yeah.
We're on like point 2 on the agenda. So Tom and Dave, if you guys can get together, kind of figure out, it sounds like Tom has a lot of ideas about what can happen there. If you guys can set a meeting with maybe George Carroll and maybe somebody from Bohevic, and Scott Dianda he's usually in town Fridays and Mondays. I think you can catch him. So I'm sure he would be willing to help. I have his number if you want it. And, if you can move that forward, that would be fantastic for us. Okay, let's move on here. Pocket Park is our next little item.
No, I've got something else that I.
Oh, sorry. Or are we gonna?
This will just take a couple of minutes.
I thought we were gonna do this under facade grant.
Yeah.
Oh, am I in the wrong one?
We have like 4 more additions before that, sorry about that.
Okay, I was thinking, when I saw the building, I was thinking facade.
No, so we're gonna throw that under facade grant. So
Well, that paperwork can stay out, that's for sure.
Sure. So, under Pocket Park, an idea that I have for the Pocket Park, I know that among this group we would like to keep it, I think, within the village. And the village does have major concerns about liability. Driving by this morning, it doesn't look like anybody's walking through the lot right now as it's very full of snow, so I think we're in general safe from anything falling on anybody right, through the winter, because nobody's gonna be in there. But come spring, something will need to be done, and if we don't want it to leave, the village hands, I thought what we could do is, the village has already committed to, in the past, okay, we're gonna give the lot and 2,600 to Bucko. Why don't we have the village keep the lot, and the DDA comes up with the, it's like, you have in your packet here a quote from, or an estimate rather, from Bud Johnson, Robert E. Johnson Contracting for the 6,300 to basically stabilize that sucker. If we come up with that, the difference between the 2,600 and the $6,300 or $6,400 here, and we could say we'll go up to $5,000 or something to have this fixed. The village comes up with the other portion, it stays within the village, it's stable, and our liability is reduced.
But then wouldn't we be better off to see if they would transfer it to the DDA? Then the village would be getting money for that too, also for snow, which would help the bill. Why, Laura?
Well, because I think that maybe it should be like, kind of more like a partnership. I don't think the DDA should
I know,
be
but if
always-
we're gonna put money in, then that would help, it'd be a way to funnel money back into the, do you see what I'm saying?
Like so you think that we should move the property to the DDA, like the DDA should own it?
Yeah, then we would pay for
Snow
snow
removal.
removal and stuff, because Bucko would have, that way,
No.
I've heard somewhere, and I can't verify it, that Bucko's was interested in doubling the size of their store. And if that's the case, it's great. But if they use that as an expansion of their store, it should be in the contract where they need to relocate the sculpture park to another lot somewhere.
I don't think that, I don't know that Bucko had any intention of doing anything for any period of time necessarily. He may have just left it as it was.
So they could put that in there. If you're gonna leave it the way it is, leave it the way it is, it's fine. But if you do decide to expand your store, and double it, it's your responsibility to relocate that same park on another piece of lot where it would be.
So
Anyway, that's just my idea.
Sure.
So Bucko hasn't approached anybody on expanding.
No, I don't think that
So
there's,
there's no purchase on the table.
no.
Oh, okay.
So, Laura, just quick, if you can, sorry.
Well, the one thing, that space is unique, okay? You can't just pick up and bring something that's not really the same somewhere else. But I also believe that the village and the DDA should be in partnership, not just simply the DDA to take over every responsibility for everything. I think, the cost of $5,000 to help stabilize that wall would be sufficient for the DDA, and I don't think that they should take over everything else, because we just don't have in our budget to
What do you mean they should take,
sidewalk
take over?
plowing and all that. That's the village.
Well, no, I think it would be nice if the DDA, if we just pay to have it fixed, leave it in. I don't think we necessarily need to take ownership of it. We do have within our DDA plan we have an allotment for improve small parks and green areas. So it's within our plan. I think that would make sense. 30 seconds. Sorry, go ahead.
My thoughts on this is we can appease both sides. If we, instead of selling the whole lot, we sell 2 feet, just enough to where the wall is his property, go ahead and give him a grant to stabilize the wall. It's the liability and the property's off there. We keep the park right where it is. There's a lot of people that put a lot of hard work into that park that I've talked to, a lot of people that enjoy it. So if we can keep it, whether it's in the village or the DDA, either way, keep the park a municipal project and just sell 2 feet of the land. We don't have to sell the whole lot.
Okay, thank you. And I think that that's been already addressed, and he's not interested in having just a liability, which I understand. So is there a motion?
Can I make a comment first?
Quick.
Okay, at our last meeting, we were going to re-vote on this issue because it came to our attention if you sell land or do anything like that, you have to have a full council.
Yes.
So at that meeting, everybody was sort of blindsided that all of a sudden one of the votes, our president was changed. Here's the problem with that. He has the right to do whatever he wants to, but here's what happened. The quitclaim deed was already ready, Tricia already talked to Buckle, we voted on it, and it didn't pass to hand it to him. Nobody from this village talked to Buckle and said that it failed. I got a text when I was downstate from Aaron Buckovich almost 2 weeks later saying, I've heard rumors, what happened at the meeting? Is it a go, is it not a go? And I was furious because you don't treat people like that. You don't treat people like that, okay? And I don't even know if to this day anybody from this village has talked to Aaron Buckovich. That kind of behavior is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He was told it was a done deal, and the quitclaim deed was in our attorney's hand, okay? And I don't have a problem with it changing, you know, I mean, if that's the way you want it, but somebody's got to talk to the guy, not just like ignore him, okay? This is exactly what happened, and it's irresponsible, and it's not right.
So what do you want me to do about that?
Okay, well, the problem is, somebody from this village should have contacted Aaron Buckovich. because
Well, also someone should have said
It's
it's more than
ridiculous.
likely gonna go through, but it still needs to.
I understand, but you still need to contact
Okay,
the
so-
person was told that the attorney's gonna be there to sign it, because
But
that's.
you can't say it's a guarantee.
I'm not saying it's a guarantee,
Okay,
I'm
so-
saying nobody talked to him after. Why is it my responsibility?
Hey,
I left the very
Listen.
I left the very next morning to go downstate.
Okay, so this is a council issue.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't solve this here. The only thing that we can do here,
Council members, so it's weird why
I don't get paid to do
Hey.
this, we have an office to do.
No one gets paid, no.
can we, what
I
I want to
just thought
see here
it was
as a
that
DDA, do we want to make, is there a motion to offer to the village that we will cover the cost up to $5,000 above the 2,600 to repair that wall in the park? Is there a motion for that?
But it should be as long as it stays in village hands,
Yes.
right?
I'll make
And
that.
As
That's
long
why,
as it stays
that's
in
why I
village.
say
Sure,
this,
that's right.
because how do you know where you're
Okay, did somebody make, who
You
was
see what I'm
the,
saying?
Pete made the motion, is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna make a comment here, I don't think the DDA can tell the village what they can do with their own land that they own. I'm not against this or
We're
whatever.
not telling the village. We're just saying.
It's a
we'll
kind of
stay
offer.
with it.
Well, this is an offer, the council can,
I'll be honest, that's why I think title should be transferred to the DDA, because we can invest this money, and if the council later decides to sell it, they can do
Yeah,
it.
you have no skin.
Yeah, the DDA has absolutely no say as to what the village does with that
That's
property.
right.
So, I mean, you may
Can't make
disagree,
conditions.
but
there's a-
again, as long as that property remains in the village, it is the council and solely the council that decides what happens to it.
so there's a motion on the table, do we want to, should we amend that motion to include that the property changes hands to the DDA?
I don't make that motion. I think that we need to study that, whether that's legal or not also before we make a motion on that. I think that the village got into trouble because it wasn't legal. I think it needs to be studied whether that is legal or not.
Or to transfer to the DDA?
Yeah, so I stand by my motion.
Actually, Pete made the motion.
I'm sorry.
So,
No motion to amend that?
so,
There's no motion to amend that?
yeah, I don't know.
There's a motion to amend it because we've got to get it right. And are we asking the village?
So what is the motion? To approve the 5,000, and then I think we would have to ask
And
Tricia whether title can be transferred from the village to the DDA.
So it's a legal question, that's all.
And again, we're just asking.
Right,
Right.
so
But
that is
but
the-
we
that
are
is the
offering,
motion.
we are offering to
So
put
that is the motion.
5,000 into this repair.
And is that regardless of whether title changes to the property or not?
I don't know that there's any other way to do it right now. Is there? I mean, we're asking the village, is that what we're doing? We're asking through Tertia.
So you could say transfer the 5,000 contingent on.
Yes.
Title transfer.
On
Yes.
title transfer to the DDA.
Okay, so that is the motion. Is there a second for
I
the
would
motion?
second that.
Rick will second that. All in favor?
Because this would involve an expenditure, I think you should.
Oh, okay,
so-
voice.
Right.
Verge,
No,
Yes.
Rick, Tom,
Yes.
Pete, sorry, Tom, and
Yeah,
Pete,
Yes, also.
Lori.
Didn't understand that.
So the motion,
So,
the motion is that we would pay we will repair the wall if the title can be transferred legally,
and if it isn't, then we
Five
won't.
up to $5,000. We would pay up to $5,000.
And if it isn't legal, then we won't.
Correct, it has to be reviewed by the village attorney first.
Does this mean that then we pay for sidewalk plowing?
That's what that would
lawns,
mean,
and
because
all
it will be
that?
it would be our property, then that is what we're saying.
And I think we have to finish this vote, but I also think another contingency should be on the village providing that 2,600. That is, we did not put that contingency yet, so.
Let's add
So
that.
let's finish that vote, because
Okay,
we have a
let's finish
motion
the
and we
vote.
started voting. So we
Okay,
gotta finish.
Lori, we need your vote.
What is the rule on majority? Is it just a majority vote? 4/5? I don't know, whatever.
We're going to amend this, so you can,
So we're gonna have to vote again.
we're gonna vote
It's
again.
gotta be a separate.
So you can vote either way, it doesn't really matter. This isn't gonna be the last thing standing.
I just don't know. In the previous, when Buck was supposed to take over, I don't think there was anything about him paying all this extra stuff. I think the village needs to start working in tandem with the DDA instead of trying to funnel money always from the DDA.
Or just vote on it,
Yeah, yes, yes or no.
please.
I guess I'll vote yes.
Okay,
And I'm a yes.
okay. And I'm a no, because I want to see this changed. Okay. Another amendment to this motion. Let's have a new motion. The motion will be to transfer the property.
Well, no, actually, I think we should just amend.
Just
Or just a new motion on.
A new motion.
That,
And a
This is also contingent that the title will transfer, we will pay up to 5,000, and
contingents on the village.
contingent upon the village supplying the 2,600 is what we're saying.
26.
and
The-
approving the transfer. You know, the village has to approve the transfer.
Well, yeah, of course,
Right.
but I think
Correct,
that
the
goes.
village
I
does.
mean, you have to
You're right,
decide
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Providing that the village puts in $1,364.
No, provided they put in $2,600.
26?
Yeah, that's what Buck
2,600
was offering.
correct.
I thought we were putting in 5 and it's 6.3.
Well, up to 5, because I'm saying that is a bid, that is an estimate.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's why because
This was a
who
year
knows
ago.
when it actually, right, who knows when it actually comes in. So the new motion would be to transfer title with approval, the village supplies $2,600 and the DDA would pay up to $5,000 to repair the wall. Do I have?
And contingent on transfer of.
Yeah, I thought I said that.
Yeah, she did say that.
Okay, do I have is there somebody,
What was
Did
it?
somebody make the
Motion?
motion?
I'm sorry. How is that different than the first one?
that the village will supply us with $2,600
Oh,
as
the first
well?
one wasn't?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Right, it was
Understand
not,
the
it
first
was
motion.
left.
so that's the motion. Will somebody make that
Mhm.
motion or not? You can make that motion. Will somebody second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, and then let's have a voice vote. Verge,
No,
Rick, Tom, Pete,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Leah, yes.
You were yes,
Okay, all righty. So, as far as that goes, we need someone to speak with Jim Tersha about that, whether that is legal for that to transfer. Will you do that? Thank you. take that proposal to the council. Okay, that is talked about. Okay, subcommittees. I would like us to, we've had a lot of different discussions about a lot of issues that we have in this group, so I want us to kind of go in twos or threes, just small groups, and start to do a little research and come up with some answers that we can implement here on some different issues. Some of this can be covered under the buildings, individual buildings, because some of these are about individual buildings. One of the first things I'd like to see a subcommittee formed on is a property sales. What are our procedures regarding when we sell a property? Are we going to require, what do we require? Do we require, what documentation? What, do we require a business plan? Do we require that buyers work with, say, KEDA or from either Superior National Bank, or, do they need to work with a banker and show them that business plan and make sure that it is viable? What are those things that we require when we sell a piece of property, so that we end up with, we've been unhappy with some of the situations we've gotten ourselves into as far as selling property, and maybe we don't necessarily like the outcome so much. So I would like to have a couple people volunteer. I just like 2-3 talks, that's it. You can talk to Jeff Ratcliffe, talk to Scott McGinnis, get some information, and come back to the rest of the group with some recommendations that we can discuss further, approve, whatever, so that we have some things, some nice procedures in place when we go to sell property, buildings, whatever.
Can I make one suggestion? I think we should talk to our attorney, Jim Tricia, because I don't know if you can legally make conditions on a property sale once you sell it to somebody.
And that's somebody, Jim, you need to talk with this group needs to talk to the attorney too.
Because look what happened with the Payne Weber building, look what happened with the Evergreen, with the easement.
Right,
But
I
all these
think
conditions and
going into, I think that's something that we really need to talk with, I agree with you.
I
We need to talk
would
with
think
Tricia.
it's legal to tell people it once they happen. I mean,
Well, not once they have it, but I think going, before you sell it to them, I
We've
think.
done that though, and it has not been successful, because apparently you can't enforce it. So that's a legal question before we get too much in the weeds on what conditions we make.
But we still can't, because we owe Jeff
Then you don't
money,
sell
right?
it to him.
If he, do we still?
I'm not sure.
I
So,
can't remember what.
Bert, do you have a suggestion about what we should do when we sell property then?
Well, we should ask Jim Tertia if we can legally put conditions on it when we sell a piece of property. That's the first question you should ask Jim Tertia before you get into making all these conditions. And if
Well,
we
I'm just-
can, then we will.
I absolutely know when you sell a piece of property, before you decide to sell it to somebody, you can ask to see, hey, what's your plan? You can certainly ask that. Maybe once you sell it, it's a lot more difficult, I understand that, to defend your contract. You have to have financial backing to do that, and maybe that's something we need to set aside, which is why I want a group to work on it.
Can you ask Jim Tertia that question? If you can,
Well, this committee will ask.
That's what
yeah, somebody's got to ask.
Can I get 2 or 3 people to work on that committee? Is that possible?
I'll be one of those.
Okay, Pete? Anybody
I
else?
like, but I just wonder what are the other committees?
I mean, what? You gotta commit first, I'm not gonna share. Anybody else willing to work on that? Pete's gonna take it on? I guess I can work with Pete, put me on there. Okay,
Good.
and we'll communicate to you about it.
Good.
Okay. Next thing, security camera grants. I don't know if you're aware, but somebody paintballed Keweenaw Coffee Works this weekend.
No.
Yeah, that's real nice. But anyway, I talked with Keith Anderson in the past about security cameras. In other communities, apparently, they have cameras on buildings, like individual businesses will have cameras on the front of their building. And if they put them in a certain angle so that you end up seeing part of the street view, it's not just right on your front door or something, the local community will help with a little grant funding to help you install that, and then those cameras are actually monitored by the police. So it's recorded, it's remote. I don't know how it all works, which is why we need some people to talk with Keith. Keith was just kind of getting into it,
I have an update on that. He did apply through a grant through our insurance company, through
Yeah,
Mr. Hanna.
I read that, yeah.
And we're just waiting for, permission to get the grant or not. And if we do get the grant, we're gonna have a match. I think we're going to spend up to $2,500 or something. And that will happen in the village.
And
as
he
soon as
was,
we hear.
he was gonna talk to somebody who like installed
Right.
them,
But we
and I would be
gotta wait to
interested.
see if we get this thing first before we go too far into the.
Sure, but I think that would be, it's a good thing, we don't have to do any action on it, but it's good to have that information amongst us to know what do these type of systems cost? What would it cost a business owner? Is this something that as the DDA, we might wanna help businesses with? It's just an idea to put out there.
My understanding is if we get this, they will be placed in the most pertinent
Well,
areas.
sure.
I don't think there would be any cost to the business person because we.
Well, no,
took
these
that
are,
grant.
that grant is specifically for cameras in Agassiz Park, and there might be there might be a couple
There's
other
another
locations.
location, I think.
But what I'm talking about is, say Lori puts cameras on her building, and they are to the specs that our police department would say, and that information, that footage goes to the police department. I mean, you might have it in your shop as well, it might be different, but they can sit there and they can, while they're doing paperwork or whatever, and it's recorded, it's in the police station, as I understand it.
Okay, well, here's the remote that we're using, but everybody that's a businessman can help them on camera thing. If they have a problem, they can call the police chief and say, hey, I've got this on camera, you know, I want to file a complaint. I'm not sure he's gonna be willing to have something in his office.
Well, I don't know, he brought this up to me, so.
I mean, I don't know.
Again, if it's,
Because you can buy a system for $100, and one of my friends has one at her mother's house, and it takes pictures every 20 minutes, and you can look on it on your phone, and it also records.
Right.
So it's
again,
only $100, and you just put it in there, so you don't have a problem.
it's something
very
that, do we want it sounds like there's not interest in this then. Anybody invest, nobody wants to find out anything more at this point? We just have to move on, folks. We got a lot of stuff to cover. If there's no interest, there's no interest.
Well, we
Okay,
just shelved it for now.
that's fine. Okay,
For business people.
DDA update. You know, we need to update this thing pronto. We don't need we don't need 5 of us. We've talked about this in the past, a committee working on it. We just need a couple people to start working on this plan, to come up with some updates. And actually before that, what I want us to do is we need to do a visioning, planning kind of session where we can put some things on the wall, have somebody mediate it and say, these are the things, we can review the master plan, which I know isn't totally approved yet, but look at that, say, hey, in the DDA, we want to make sure that our parks look great. We want to make sure that we have parking. Whatever those things are, we can work as a group. Kathleen Carter from the National Park is available to help us do that, and I think Wendy, the superintendent, might be as well. But I know Kathleen Carter would help us do that. So I would like us to do a visioning session. It would have to be, it'll be a special meeting. I can send out a poll on it, and then we can schedule that. And then we need a committee to work on what we pull out of that visioning session, to put it on paper, and then probably get it over to Pat Coleman or somebody to write a formal plan. But I would like us to, we need to have some input on it, and Scott McGinnis is there to help us with it. So if I can get 1 or 2 other people to help me, that would be great. I will definitely work on that.
Can I ask you a question? If you're going to get it to Pat Coleman, that involves money.
Yes, we have scheduled, yes.
Yeah.
Or budgeted.
Do you have budgeted?
We
Or is
budgeted.
it something that can just be done in-house, where you don't have to have Pat Coleman?
I think that we're definitely gonna need some, it's a legal document, so I think we're gonna have to have we need some, to make sure that we're doing things correctly.
And maybe after the visioning session, after we look at it, we can make that decision.
Right.
As to whether to go back.
Right, but I think we need to talk with Scott McGinnis, start to understand what that process is. There's gonna be I'm sure you probably have to have public hearing, I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine, like most planning stuff, you have to have a public sessions, and you have to have comment periods, and, you know, it's a whole thing. But we need to start working on that. Is there anybody else who wants to?
I might, but what is the requirements of the committee has to do, actually?
I don't, we're gonna have to get together and talk with Scott and see what he tells us we need to do, because I don't know what we need to do. That's 2002, and it's, we have to do it, we need to extend it by 30 years, if you remember from that special meeting. Okay, great, Lori, got it. Two, Rick? All right, awesome, thanks. So I'll be in touch with you guys. We'll get together with Scott and they'll send us some information and start working on it. Let's see, I do want to have a subcommittee for Evergreen. We can talk about that under that building if we want to, or we can do it right now. We have the easement, preservation easement in Evergreen, and I think we really need to understand what that is, what rights it gives us, what it doesn't, and then maybe some options about, you know, we know that there's a leaky roof there. We know that the items that we have the easement on are probably losing value as they are getting full of moisture. Do we want to vacate the easement? Do we want to try and take them to court and say, hey, you know, you owe us money for this stuff? Do we want, I mean, what are the options? What are our rights and responsibilities with regards to that property?
We won't do nothing in court.
How do you know that?
We went that route.
Who did you have?
We had, what was that,
Well, that, and it was DeForge, I think it was Keith DeForge, and I think that was when the Rostellos owned the building.
And they
Part of
were-
that was age.
Right.
I think they're both deceased
and they're
now.
both passed away.
She's still alive.
Oh, is
She's
she?
in a nursing home here.
Is she? Okay. So I don't know who has title to that property.
I think is it
So-
does the woman on it now?
Well,
Different-
Rob and I thought had it.
Robin did, but I think it Julie.
Julie.
Okay,
And this is where,
so that's a
Robin
different,
It's like Julie and the mother, I think.
yes, yeah, I don't know.
We
so
found
this
it last
is where,
time.
if we could have a couple people figure this stuff out and understand, because I hear every time we have a meeting, well, I think this, and, well, I don't know, what you know,
The
nobody
three of them
really
do
knows.
own it, yeah.
Okay,
That's- It's Reed,
but what are,
Julie, and Ellis.
what are our rights and responsibilities with that property? Like, okay, we have this easement, what does that mean for us as a group? Is this something we want to just not have anything to do with anymore? Or, you know, I know the DDA put that in place because they felt that it was a historically significant building and the interior was very important, so, you know.
It's like shooting.
But Tertia did say as long as the easement was in place, they can't take this stuff.
But it could get ruined and then you.
And then
Yes,
what's
but
the point?
that
Or-
is-
That's the problem.
So-
The judge won't enforce it.
Do you have a paper from this DeForge guy saying that the judge is doing nothing? Because I can't believe a court of law would say.
So this is
we're
where-
not
They,
doing-
Who wants
she
to
told
work on this?
you couldn't hassle these people.
And again, we're speculating.
Yeah.
Leah's point is, let's find out.
Let's not speculate at this
The
table.
one advantage is the waterfall that comes in every spring is just back of the valuable stuff that we're talking, not that there isn't damage.
So are there two
But-
people who want to dig in that file cabinet, get the documentation out and make some phone
I've
calls?
got the preservation easement in there.
Great, but I think
I haven't
is there
talked
some,
to it.
I thought there was some information in that file cabinet about about when they took them to court. I saw it back there, I did not read through all of it.
I'm not gonna.
Two people? And Joe, sounds like Joe knows where some stuff is and can help us out. Anybody?
I'd jump on that with someone else because I've been in that.
I could help.
Pete and Rick, that would be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Ricky's been
gentlemen.
there too many times.
Okay. Hallelujah, moving on, stock grants application.
I mean, we can send them out one more time. I updated them,
Oh, okay.
so. We'll send them out and then let's approve in
Okay.
February.
Okay, sounds good.
I have a question,
Okay.
don't you have to update the application form as well, because that's gonna be different as well, not just the requirements of the school.
Looked at the
Yeah,
application.
the application form will not gel with the new conditions.
I thought that was all, that's not one thing?
No,
There are two things.
the form just merely describes the process, who's eligible. Yeah, and I haven't looked at the actual
The
application.
application is much different.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get that done.
Okay, excellent. 'cause we
All right,
need
and
to
we'll
look
get,
at that.
yeah, we'll send the app, or the guidelines out again.
Before the next meeting?
Yes, in fact, I just sent them to you this morning again, so yeah, you can distribute them this morning.
Okay, the second thing, under our facade grants application, so Pete and Shelley were going through their paperwork apparently, and they found their completed application with signature from Dr. Jacobs and
Well, then I'm assuming that's Corinne's note on the front of the original.
that looks like a copy of it. I don't know that there's one for each of us.
No, they're just,
A few copies. But anyway, so we were concerned that this paperwork was not, the application was not complete, it was not done correctly. And Pete had said it was, filed with the village lost it, and looks like here it is, so.
Okay, can I make just an interjection here? According to the rules, it has to have written authorization of proposed work, and it's different from the property owner. Don't we have to have a letter from the property owner?
no, because the forms has a place for the owner to sign it, and that's been done.
Written authorization for proposed work if applicant is different from the property owner. Where's the written application?
His signature
This is
verified,
his signature?
Right here.
yeah, Doc Jacobs signed it.
Okay. Now, the other issue is Jeff Jacobs, one of the conditions of getting a mini grant is you cannot be in arrears for taxes, sanitation, snow removal, and he's in violation of all of the above. So it doesn't matter if the paperwork is right or wrong or lost or whatever. If he's in arrears for those things, it should have not even started. And I know it's not a help to you, but that was the
Listen, many people, business people, pay their taxes and all their fees at the 11th hour. Dr. Jacobs says that's how he does business.
No, he doesn't.
He pays at the 11th
No,
hour.
he doesn't. He's always 2 years behind. And his
Well-
snow removal is just not paid enough, so we just went through all these things. So the problem with that is, if you're gonna have rules for something, and one of the rules is, you're not eligible if you're in arrears to taxes, snow removal, or garbage. That was your rule, that was your rule.
Urge is right on this.
Yeah, let's have rules and abide by them, otherwise it's getting into that good old boy thing, and we don't wanna get into that.
Okay.
Seriously, we don't.
But
And then
at the
I wanna
time,
make
we
a decision.
needed a
I wanna-
section to give it.
No, I don't.
There's nothing in the minutes that says you override the rules,
They really did
nothing.
make an exception.
We did make an exception. didn't
It's
we?
not in the minutes.
Well, anyway, I want to say something to if that is the case, then every grant should be taken back from that year because you are not following the rules if you're giving a sidewalk grant to somebody as a facade. A sidewalk is not a facade. Then I think you need to go back to Harvard's and take that money
But in
back.
2016, if you look at the rules, when Harder's got it, there was, sidewalk was included, if I'm correct. Am I correct, Dave? Yes. So sidewalk was included in
We
that.
have
Harder's doesn't
several.
owe us any money. That's the big
That
thing.
form there has a different rules than this form here.
This is not, I don't see.
It says sidewalks in 2016, I have it at home.
I'm looking right here. I don't see the
So I
sidewalk.
think if you go back to the minutes, we would have an exception for sidewalks.
Here it is right here, Laura, it's right on his, right here, sidewalk. It says ineligible work sidewalk, but on the upgraded one, it says sidewalk.
This is 2016.
I understand that, but there is one that says sidewalks.
This is 2016. This is the one I'm looking at. There's no date on either one, so which one is correct?
See, we're getting into the weeds of this, because
I know,
there's
but
two
the thing is-
things with this grant. A, Jacobs owed a lot of money. B, if anything is over $600, by Michigan law, you have to have a licensed contractor do it. And it was $600 and something dollars.
In this grant,
It's
it
the
says
contract.
it's nothing.
Yes, it does.
Where?
Okay, Michigan Occupational,
It's not in this.
yes it is. I'm telling you it is.
It's not.
It is Michigan
All right, wait,
Occupational.
so I think,
You can't speak.
really right now, we either need to move on, or somebody needs to make a motion that they want this grant to be reinstated.
Oh, I'm not asking for any of that, I'm just saying, here's everything that was
Okay, so
supposed
then
to
I
be
think,
here. Now there's a copy to stick in that file.
Right.
so,
So, but again, it's typical of a lot of things that happen. If there's a question here, like you had brought up Virginia about buckles, then someone should ask me. I found it strange that people went all around and they weren't supposed to meet.
I also
Okay,
did
but
not.
you
And it
sit
should,
on
no,
this.
I don't want it to go any further.
I understand that,
Let's
but-
move on.
But you made it, you brought it here today, and I'm just gonna say one thing, you are on the DDA, so you know the rules. The rules are, if you're in arrears for anything, you're not eligible for a mini grant. Okay, you know this. You've been a contractor in your life, you know that there's an occupational law that is over $600 in painting is.
Yeah, I was a painter, I was a painting contractor, I understand.
Licensed contractor, okay, there's.
I don't have
certain
my contractor's license in
Okay,
this.
so,
Okay.
so, pay-
So-
yeah, I mean, we're being a dead horse here.
thank you
Yes,
guys for bringing that in, I
yes.
appreciate it, and we will get that in the village file, so we can.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I don't, amendment to the DDA plan, I think we already
Business.
discussed the amendment to the DDA plan, that we need to have a little committee on that. As far as ag mix blocks goes, thank you, Tom, for your presentation. Is there any other news on the ag mix block? Dave, you got anything? Joe?
Did you shovel it, Tom? Did you take the snow off the roof?
Yeah,
That was very nice.
Wow, thank you, Tom. Are you doing that every year?
huh?
Are you shoveling the roof every year?
No, I had that big overhang on mine, and I told my guy that was up there, just go on down and do the whole thing
Yeah.
before somebody
Where
gets
does it go
hurt.
to the
Nice.
alleyway or
Huh?
where would you
It
shove
was just
it?
overhanging the side.
Sidewalk.
So does it
Yeah,
fall
mine
out?
was almost hanging, almost 5 feet out.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a lot of snow.
It would be quite an awakening.
and so,
Okay, 512 Portland, moving on here, 512 Portland, we need to approve. Okay, you need to go to the second to the last page of your packet. You'll see, okay, the 512 Portland Structural Stabilization Project. So this is the MISTA project that we've been working on with Jeff Ratcliffe and Keita. That project is getting ready to close out here. There's $3,118 that we need to pay for. We'd like to,
What happened? That's just the last?
yeah, that's the last part
It's
of
not an
it.
overrun or anything like that?
I think the original, you can see the, okay, so if you go to CO number 1, CO number 2, those, nope, you're on the, there you go. Those first two columns, so the first set of bills was, roof, rafters, basement, porch, okay? And then the second 4,542, that was for work in the basement. Once they got in there, they said, oh wait, it's gonna cost this much more. So, yeah, so it's a second
They
part.
did nice work too.
Yeah, they
Did
did do very nice
Yeah,
job.
they're very good company.
And we budgeted 20,000 for, I gotta pull this back. You can pull up the actual budget, but we did put 20,000 in the budget, for structural stabilization for this project. So we need to approve $3,118.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, I think when we accepted this grant from MISTA, the village had 10% in that, and then we would have to go back, and so far, all of this money has come from
Those,
other
yes,
donors.
yes, this would be.
But the question is the village has never, and again, we'll have to go back in the minutes, but I believe when we accepted that MISTA grant, the village was in for 10%, which would be $3,300, which would cover this
Right,
shortfall.
yeah.
Okay, so we need to, I don't think we need to approve anything. If the village is not, again, going back to the minutes, when we approved the Michigan grant, I believe it was a 90-10. Yeah, and that's why we need to go back, but I think the village is on the hook for 3,300.
Not the DDA?
No, that was,
Oh, so
Michigan
it's-
grants always, well, and let's check. We
I
gotta go
guess
back
I
to the
don't
minutes and see.
understand
who
how that
pledged,
works.
Who,
Well, it has to go through the villages.
right, the Michigan grant is to the village.
Yes.
Right, and I think that 3,300 should be coming from the general fund, not the DDA. But we need to
We
go
have
back
to
and look at the
look at
minutes
it.
and see what did we approve.
So I guess I don't understand when we approve that money in the budget, it can't be spent.
It
No,
can.
we didn't pay
It
it
can,
out.
but it can, but I'm just saying, if the village obligated itself.
First, or,
Right,
I mean,
right,
how
when
is
we took
there?
the Michigan
the-
grant,
Yeah.
if we obligated ourselves, now the DDA could reimburse the village for that, but I think legally the village is.
Oh, okay,
And,
well.
and again, we need to go back and
Because
look to
DDA
see.
can't apply for a grant.
No.
Well, no, I know, and it's just like,
So it's
River
ours.
Valley didn't either, or, I mean, I just look at, I guess I don't understand quite how that process
And
works.
that's why we need to go back and look at the
We'll know
minutes
at the
and at
meeting.
the Michigan grant.
Next week,
We'll
okay,
know at the
Michigan
meeting.
grant.
because I do know they want to close this out, so.
Right.
So if we can follow up on that, and,
Yeah.
so then, once the village has met its obligation of 10%, then the DDA would,
No, I mean, no, I mean, I think we're fine in terms of money.
right, but I'm just saying, say that bill was 10 grand or something, the village
The
kicks in its
DDA could-
10%.
The DDA could choose to fund it, but they don't have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just saying because the village has committed 10%, has obligated that they should
Right,
cover
yeah,
that?
I mean,
Okay.
if that's,
All right.
if that's our portion of the match, yeah.
So are these other people paid yet that you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've all paid, even though
Yeah.
it's just Mark two paid?
Well, no, so, because the Keweenaw Community Foundation, that grant is actually coming in through Main Street, that $421 is a grant, that, those checks are just going out now. So that has not been received yet. And Main Street, I have not physically written that check yet, but those monies are, you know,
But
committed.
anonymous obviously is paid if someone is doing a $500 anonymous.
and that one, I do not know
You know
whose
what
money
that
that
was,
is,
Joe?
the anonymous.
Is the anonymous?
That will be,
paid?
it has not been paid, but it will be
It's
paid.
committed,
Okay.
yeah. I think if those numbers are on here, that's, yeah. And the River Valley Bank is definitely paid, I know that, and, the land bank is paid, so those monies that are there, I think, I mean, pretty darn certain on that. Okay, so you and
Yeah,
Joe
I'll find out.
sort that out
Go back
for us?
to the minutes and see
Okay.
what the grant says.
Because we have
I
a
just
copy of that as well.
want to make sure that our contractors and everybody gets paid and it goes cleanly. The
Right.
more of these grants that we can get to, you know, be successful and the project is successful and everybody's paid and everything is done on time and how it's supposed to be, that's what we need to do to show, you know, MISTA and MEDC that, hey, Calumet can do this stuff and they can be successful. That's what we
And then getting that property transferred to a
Yeah, okay,
responsible party.
exactly.
I'm gonna say, now let's sell it.
Conditions.
And then now let's,
You know, with,
I think,
You gotta find out.
is there anything else on the Evergreen? I don't think so. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is approve bills. And there's none.
There's really nothing, you know?
No, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
we talked at some
Oh,
prior
darn
meeting
it. Yeah.
about meter reimbursement to the general fund.
Okay,
And on the budget, it's been changed, the title's been changed to snow removal.
Well, it doesn't have, you know, I think there should be a discussion. It doesn't, you know, snow removal in the entire village, snow removal in the DDA district, who knows how much it's responsible for. I mean, it's sort of a nefarious.
I think I intended to ask for this in our committee formation, but I think we should just hold it till next month. But I would like to get a group of people just a few people, have that little subcommittee to work on some parking solutions, some options, to understand, because right now we are kind of reimbursing the village $7,200 to
That's
not.
a lot of money.
Right, so what I think, and I know that the village needs to be kept whole because they have to meet their budget. We can't just say, we're gonna pay for this and you guys can go broke, because we are one and the same. So, but are there other solutions to what's going on? Because now we're in the situation where our parking meters are going down, some of them are not functional, so you can't
Most
do.
of them are not functional.
Right, so we need to think about what are some other options. Maybe this is what we still continue doing, I don't know, but I do want to put together a group at some point. Let's put that on for our next meeting. We have enough work right now, I think, but,
Maybe that snow removal can go towards,
Well, if they're gonna continue doing this, that skid steer that they have from the little Bobcat.
Right,
that thing
and
is- That thing is just about
something
done.
that needs to go in this
And because
plan.
the light poles on the streets, they have to have something like that to do the
Right.
sidewalks.
Can I get let's take a voice vote on this, on approving the bills.
Okay, I will move that we pay the bills.
Dave makes a motion to pay the bills. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And Verge,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Lori,
yes.
Yes.
Leah, yes.
So
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Going to the general
There is a motion to adjourn.
fund.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
So Pete, if you just down the line, just make the motion to adjourn, it'll make it a lot easier. Think about it.
You're here, you're adjourned.
Joe, now that we're adjourned, we're supposed to be, email, and